evening.
Good
Good
evening.
evening.
Good evening.
Right, welcome to our evening board meeting. We will now begin our board briefing since it is 6:30. Mr. Superintendent, do we have any public comments or presentations?
Have one request from Chris Jones, but I don't see him in the audience. So if he comes for the meeting,
Okay.
just want to have one.
Right. Okay, next.
Have another presentation. Just want to, Mr. Sumner, as everyone can see, this is School Board Appreciation Week in Georgia, 13th through the 17th, and just want to express our appreciation for members of the Dougherty County Board of Education. You have what could be considered thankless jobs. You get calls about things that are not right and complaints and concerns. Very rarely do you get people to say thank you for your service and your sacrifice. So I just want to say thank you for your service and your sacrifice. Thank you for your partnership, and thank you for holding us accountable and also partnering with us at the same time. When I say us, I mean the administration and leadership to meet the needs of our students, both academic and non-academic. Education that I asked several years has been very challenging, and you all have stepped up to the plate and done a wonderful job in governing our school system, and we really appreciate that. And that's not just my opinion, of course. As Mr. Sumner has on the screen there, just as a reminder, this board was recognized as an exemplary board by the Georgia School Board Association. That's the highest recognition that a school board can get in Georgia, and so that's a testament to your hard work and dedication, and we really appreciate that. We don't take that for granted. And as he does every year, the governor did a proclamation in honor of School Board Appreciation Week, and Mr. Sumner is going to read that for those in attendance.
Good evening, everybody. All right.
Good evening.
This is titled by the Governor of the State of Georgia, a proclamation for School Board Appreciation Week. Whereas our children's education is an essential element in Georgia's continued prosperity and success, and whereas for Georgia to continue to grow and prosper, we must commit to providing trained teachers and staff and adequate resources to all schools, and whereas Georgians serving on school boards have demonstrated a strong commitment to quality public education by securing necessary resources, promoting academic standards, and fostering partnerships within communities. And whereas Georgians elected to boards of education collaborate with school systems, parents, businesses, and community leaders so that students can become educated, productive members of our state and nation. Now, therefore, I, Brian P. Kemp, Governor of the State of Georgia, do hereby proclaim March 13th through 17th, 2023 as School Board Appreciation Week in Georgia. In witness thereof, I hereunto set my hand and cause the seal of the Executive Department to be affixed this 9th day of February in the year of our Lord, 2023. Thank you.
That's all the presentation there.
Thank you. All right, next we'll review the agenda. And note, we will need an executive session to discuss personnel and student matters. And at the end of our agenda items, we can decide if we want to go ahead and meet or not. Okay, let's see. Do we have any questions or comments about the agenda? Item number 1, the minutes. Questions or comments? Item number 2, consideration of recommendation for employment of personnel. Item number 3, consideration of recommendation for release of personnel. Item number 4A, consideration of recommendation to approve from the Building and Grounds Committee the HVAC upgrades Project Phase 2 Architectural Contract Award. 4B, Albany High Media Center modifications, change order number 1. Item 4C, the 4C Academy Greenhouse Project, change order number 2. Item number 5, consideration of recommendation to approve audio enhancement project phase 2. Item number 6, A, consideration of recommendation to approve fundraising request. And 6B, out-of-state field trips. Item number 7, at this time, do we have any committee reports? And item number 8, Mr. Superintendent, are you prepared to give your report?
Madam Chairman, I can't hear Mr. Dye.
Yes, sir. He's getting his computer hooked to the screen before he begins.
Thank you.
As we prepare, as you can see, things always happen. But as we prepare, this want to recognize, like I did last meeting, we have a few members of the Leadership Albany class of 2023. I see 2 people here. If you don't mind, 3 people here. I didn't see, well, Ms. Bulger, I didn't see you back there. Okay, all right. If you stand and introduce yourself real quick, if you don't mind. Well, there you go. Well, welcome and thank you for being here. We certainly appreciate you participating in our board meeting. It's your school system, and we appreciate your interest. And if you have any questions, of course, feel free to let us know. And I think you're in the class with Vincent, so you can ask him all the hard questions. And save the easy ones for the meeting. You give your hard ones to Vincent when you get back with him. All right, but thank you. But seriously, thank you for being here. We appreciate your interest in the school system. We appreciate your willingness to step up and serve as community trustees for our Albany, Dougherty County area. We appreciate that. As we get started with the report, I'm trying to get started with the report. We will again, our School Board Appreciation Week have that. These are just a few pictures of our board members engaging with our members of our community. And in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see Ms. Hudley. That was just today at the International Status Elementary Charter School, where Senator John Ossoff and Representative Sanford Bishop, along with members of the U.S. Department of Education and U.S. Department of Agriculture and the Georgia Department of Education, met to announce a $7.16 million grant for local farm to school programs that are going to provide fresh fruits and vegetables and other produce to our schools and provide access to farmers who traditionally been underserved in this area. So not only is it going to provide fresh fruit and vegetables to our students directly from local farmers, it's also going to stimulate the economy in Georgia. As you know, agriculture is our #1 industry, and so we were pleased to be the site for this announcement, and we look forward to participating in this and doing business with our local farmers as we move forward. That's a proclamation that Mr. Sumner read. Our agenda, of course, our School Board Appreciation Week recognition. We'll talk about the fiscal health of DCSS, the Georgia Department of Audits and Accounts Performance Audit Division. Did did a review of our finances and discussed the health of the school system. We have a legislative update, some other announcements, celebrations, and then questions. And if the board so chooses, we'll move into executive session. First, the Department of Audits and Accounts. Each year, they do an audit of our school system, as they do with other school systems throughout the state of Georgia. And in our recent years, Georgia schools have collected nearly $20 billion in total revenue. And so the report provides information on the source of funds, how they are spent, and also provides insight into the system's fiscal health by measuring the system against benchmarks and 5 metrics related to solvency and reserves. So this is a report from the Georgia Department of Education. I summarize it for the Dougherty County School System. Our current ratio assesses the ability to fund school system short-term obligations with readily available funds, and our ratio was 2.29, and that's in the normal range. Asset sufficiency ratio assesses the ability to fund all day-to-day operating obligations with its resources. Again, 2.67, which is in the normal range. Operating reserve ratio assesses the ability to cover a revenue shortfall, and that's in the cautionary range. They have critical, cautionary, and normal. This is in the cautionary range. It needs to be in the 12% to be considered normal. As you see, this is a 3-year average. The 3-year average is 10.4%. Of course, the most recently completed audited fiscal year, 2021, is in the 14% range. So we're on the upward trajectory, and we believe that we'll be in the normal range of a 3-year average at the end of 2022. But again, we also are going to make sure we continue to monitor our operating reserve. As you can see, through our finances over the last several meetings, our reserves have increased, and they will continue to increase. And so I think this operating ratio, although cautionary with a 3-year average, we certainly are on the upswing there, and I think we'll be in good shape there as well. A change in total fund balance. We've had an increase of 5.3% in our total fund balance, and the change in total fund balance ratio indicates whether the total fund balance is increasing or decreasing. And then the change in unassigned fund balance indicates whether the unassigned fund balance is increasing or decreasing. Is increased by 20%, 20.9% over the last 3 years. Then overall fiscal rating indicates the health of a school system when accounting for all fiscal health measures, and our fiscal health rating is considered positive by the Georgia Department of Audit and Accounts, and that's due in no small part to the fiscal stewardship of this board and our wonderful finance department led by Susan Hatcher, our CFO, and her team. So I want to thank you. I thank Ms. Hatcher and her absence, and her team and their absence, for providing excellent management of the resources provided to us and taxpayers' money, as the Reverend Bush reminds me so often. And so we thank you for that, and thank Ms. Hatcher for that, as well as her team. Are there any questions about those ratios, the fiscal health, as determined by the Georgia Department of Audits and Accounts? If not, I'll move to the next topic. A legislative update under the Gold Dome. The FY23 budget has been approved by the House and the Senate. Is awaiting the governor's signature. The key pieces of legislation that are included in the governor's 2023 amended budget is a teacher pipeline. It's a parity teacher pipeline. It's providing $5 million for parents who have bachelor's degrees to complete their teacher certification by going through a RESA, Regional Education Service Agency program, to get their certification. And initially was $15 million in the governor's recommended budget. But as they looked at the number of parents who had 4-year degrees, they realized that they didn't need $15 million for that. They only needed $5 million, so they reduced it to 5 and reallocated the 10 elsewhere. Security grants is going to provide $50,000 per school for security. Each school in the state will get $50,000 to enhance security. And then heavy equipment simulators. This is a grant that's provided for through our CCAE program in the state, and it's specifically reserved for the construction pathway to provide heavy equipment simulators for those students who wish to go into construction upon graduation, who may not want to go to a 4-year program. And yes, ma'am, thank you for that. And we're certainly we've already submitted. If we have not, we're preparing the application right now. And Dr. Corbett, who's out there, she's on top of that. But this is a grant that's going to be for I think $375,000 per school to buy heavy equipment simulators. So when our students graduate and go into the construction field, they'll be prepared with the latest equipment. You may remember that we had a similar program with the last 2 summers, with our Construction Ready program, where students received industry credentials in 7 areas related to construction, and they all graduated, they all finished, and all got jobs when they completed the program. We're looking forward to extending that to other students as well with these heavy equipment simulators once we awarded the grant. Right, Dr. Colbert? That's right. FY24 budget is still being worked on. The governor has submitted his recommendation. It's going through the House and then it'll go to the Senate. And but the highlight so far: $2,000 salary increase for certified personnel, salary increase for school nurses, nutrition workers, and bus drivers at 5.1%. The House put in an additional $1,000 supplement for those employees as well. Don't know, that's why I have that highlighted. That's different than what the governor recommended. And then social and emotional wellness in the form of providing additional money for counselors, school counselors, to get the ratio to the 1 to 450 ratio that's described in QBE funding formula. And as we've said before, the state health benefit plan employer match is scheduled to increase from $945 per month per member to $1,580 per month per member. The classified portion of that is not funded through the state. The certified portion is, and just for our classified employees, that will call for another $4.7 million a year. And for those that are not familiar with the state health benefit plan, we have premiums for our employees that they pay monthly, anywhere from $200 and something dollars to maybe $400 and something dollars if they have their entire family on. But as the employer, we match that with an amount per month. And right now that amount is $945. The Department of Community Health that manages the state health benefit plan has informed the state that they're in a fiscal, they have a fiscal issue, and that the premiums are too low. So instead of having the employees increase their premium, they're asking the employers to increase the match. And so that increase will be about 67%. Of course, we voiced our concern about how that's ramped up so quickly and the impact it will have. Thankfully, we will be able to withstand that if we had to. A lot of smaller school systems who are not as well positioned as we are could have some solvency issues if they were forced to pay that amount beginning January 2024. So as we met with the governor as part of his superintendent's advisory roundtable, we expressed that concern. We expressed it to some House leaders as we went to visit with them under the Gold Dome. And right now they're looking at stretching that over a 3-year period with a $500 increase in January 2024, and then the difference of $1,080 being split beginning January 2025, then the final installment being January 2026. That gives us time and give other school systems time to plan for the increase instead of having it all hit at one time. So that's where we are with that, and we'll keep monitoring that. And we also have some discussions going on throughout the state on how to offset some of the costs and create some efficiencies in the state health benefit plan that may cause this amount to be reduced and not be as much as the $1,580 per month as is currently projected to be. Other significant legislation: public school employee retirees may have an option to choose to participate in the teacher retirement system of Georgia, which they currently don't have that option, and that amount will be about $1.6 million per year, $1.7 million per year if all of our public school employee retirement system employees select to join teacher retirement. Also, the safety intruder alert drill legislation is moving forward. So it's the Georgia Literacy Act. That is similar to our early literacy initiative, is requiring the training of teachers science of reading, which we've been doing for 2 years. The literacy rates across the country, but in Georgia specifically right now, are lower than we want them to be. And of course, research indicates that students who read on grade level by grade 3 are 40% more likely to graduate on time and be successful in upper grades. And so we began that as the number one priority in our strategic plan that we announced in 2020. The state has followed that with some interest, and it is making that a priority for the state of Georgia. So there's some other requirements included in that act if it passes, and I think it will, and so that'll provide some expectations. No additional resources at this point, but certainly some expectations regarding literacy throughout the state. Other legislation that has recently been introduced, duty-free planning period for our teachers. Alyssa's Law, which is named after one of the students who passed away at the Parkland shooting in Florida. And it requires for mobile panic alert technology to be in our schools for every person in our schools, employees and students. Again, we already have that technology in place. We've had it in place for quite some time. The Georgia Promise Scholarship Act is a voucher proposal that has passed the Senate. It's being considered in the House. It provides for a $6,000 scholarship voucher for students to attend private school if they choose to do so. And this will be for students who involve 25% of their school in terms of academic performance. This that provision was not included in the legislation initially. It initially had no restrictions, but after some discussion, they added that provision to it, and it passed the Senate. It still has an appeal ballot in the House, but we'll continue to monitor that as well. And finally, the Representative Chris Irvin, who serves as chair of the House Education Committee, has introduced the Student Technology Protection Act. There was some concerns from parents regarding access to inappropriate material on the internet, and so what Mr. Irvin, Representative Irvin, has done is put in legislation the fact that certain screeners and web filters shall be included in any device that a school system provides to a student. And of course, we have those in place already. Everyone should, because of the Child Internet Protection Act, but some of those screeners are not as effective as others. And so this prescribes some of those measures that need to be put in place to ensure that students are protected in terms of access to inappropriate material on the internet. Any questions regarding legislative updates?
Madam Chairman,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Dye, I know you mentioned something about $6,000 for each school in the district. Am I correct?
No, sir. I mentioned it's two things. I mentioned a $50,000 safety grant for each school in the system to enhance their safety measures, and I also mentioned a $6,000 scholarship for students whose parents want them to go to private school. That's a voucher program that's being proposed that has passed the Senate and is still under consideration in the House.
Okay.
I have a question.
Madam Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I'm glad that Mr. Dye did not say anything about the state in regards to security, because that is becoming a great concern of many of the majority of our citizens, and especially parents. You know, people are walking into schools that's just doing what they want to do, and thank God we have not had anything to happen like that in our system. But I think that, you know, you need to prepare for war in time of peace sometime. You know, you need to make preparation. You know, I remember when I was a county policemen, we had training every 6 months, physical training. And, I think that if a police officer can't run uh, 10 feet, he or she need to find them, to find them a sit-down job because, it's a physical thing and you just don't want a whole string of lawsuits because people did not respond and, was not physical fit. And I know Mr. Dye and the chief has, looked at that, and that's something that we need to be concerned about, I think. Thank you so much, Madam Chairman.
Yes, sir. Thank you for your comments, Reverend Bush.
Madam
Dr.
Chair,
Dempsey? Yes, sir.
this $6,000 voucher that's being proposed, will that affect our budget, school system?
Oh, but read the caveat of that again.
Yeah, it could impact our budget if we had a significant number of students who chose to use the voucher to go to a private school. Initially, when it was introduced, it had no restrictions or caveats to the bill. During the debate in the Senate, provision was added. It could only go to the students who were in the bottom 25% in terms of academic performance in their schools. And so, and it would pay $6,000 toward tuition at a private school. And so, could it? It could. But I think it'll have a significant impact. I don't see that happening right now. But the concern that many with the Georgia School Board Association, the Georgia School Superintendents Association, Page and GA have is that if we began to start chipping away at that and allowing vouchers, the programs would just expand. And so they are opposed to it, and we taking that same position.
Thank you.
Crossover Day, which is the day that a bill has to pass out of one chamber of the legislature in order to stay alive for that session, passed on March 6th. So we are beyond Crossover Day. I think we're on day 31 or so now. I can't remember exactly what day we're on with sign die. The last day of the session is scheduled for Wednesday, March 29th. I think we're on day 30 something right now, so we have a few more days left in legislative session before it's over. So there's a lot of work that's going to be done between now and then. A lot of bills that were out there that I just mentioned that have not been passed yet, and a lot more that I did not list because they, although they're relevant to education, they were not as significant as these that we mentioned. And of course, the FY24 budget is still not been passed, and there's still some work to do to reconcile what the governor recommended to what the House is recommending to what the Senate is going to propose. So the next several legislative days we're going to be packed full of action, I'm sure, and I'll keep you abreast of what's going on, particularly as it impacts the Dougherty County school system. Announcements: Boys and Girls Club Steak and Burger Dinner, the annual fundraiser, is going to be held March 28th at 6 p.m. at the ASU West campus. We have 2 tables, and for that event, so if anyone wants to attend, please let Ms. Johnson know. COSPA, the Consortium of State School Board Associations, is going to have its inaugural conference March 30th through April 2nd, 2023 in Tampa, Florida. As you know, a few years ago, several states school board associations withdrew membership from the National School Board Association and created COSPA. And this will be the inaugural national conference for COSPA. And they're asking as many can please attend. And then finally, GSBA Summer Conference. The annual summer conference is going to be held June 8th through the 10th at the High Regency Hotel in Savannah, Georgia. So again, if you want to attend any of these activities or conferences, please contact Ms. Johnson and she'll make the appropriate arrangements. Celebrations. Westover and Dougherty High both won the region championships for basketball. The boys teams won the region championship for basketball, and Westover made it to the Final Four, which is the 3rd time in 3 years that they made it to the Final Four, and Dougherty's boys basketball team made it to the Elite Eight, which is the third time in 3 years for them. So congratulate Coach Chun, Principal Chun, and Coach Dallas Smith at Westover, Principal Jerry Sanders, and Coach Bakari Bryant at Dougherty. Not only are they doing a great job on the court, but in terms of art, the arts, Ms. Hutley, they changed the Kiwanis Art Competition, award competition, from Sunday to Saturday for the first time ever. And I'm a creature of habit. And I missed my first one. I after church Sunday, I got something to eat, and I got ready. I was headed to the and nobody was there. So I called. I said, hey, it was yesterday. I'm like, oh man, I missed it. But so I called Coach Chun. Coach Chun said, yeah, I was gonna call you, but you hadn't missed one since I've been here. Since you've been here, so now I'm one up on you. I've been to one more than you. So he's always competing. He's always competing. But I am going to go. The gallery will be open for a while, and so if you haven't had a chance to go by, please stop by the Albany Museum of Arts and take a look at the artwork from our students. We have some wonderfully talented students, some amazing artwork on display, and I'm usually there when they announce the winner. And Ms. Hutley is usually there as well, and they changed it to Sunday, from Sunday to Saturday, so I missed it. But I'm still going to go by. But I want to congratulate Westover, the High School of Distinction, for the Kiwanis Art Award competition. It was a tight race. In fact, they bested Dougherty by 1 point. In fact, this morning when I made the announcement at the principal's meeting, we announced Dougherty as the winner. But they did a recount and realized that Westover was the winner, and so that's how tight it was. And so want to congratulate again Westover, Principal Chun, and his art teachers there, as well as Principal Sanders at Dougherty, and Samantha Fields, who's not only the art teacher there, but also the lead art teacher for the district. They do a wonderful job. Competition is tight because they have some wonderfully talented students who take this seriously. And so if you do have a chance, please go by and take a look at their work.
Is that the mall?
No, it's at the Albany Museum of Arts.
Okay.
They have a gallery for that. Yeah. And then in terms of robotics, we held the first regional competition. Had 21 schools participating 2 Saturdays ago, and our own Commodores from the college, Commodore Conyers College and Career Academy, won first place and were undefeated in all their matches. As you know, they also have to compete in a championship round, and Westover and Commodore Conyers College and Career Academy were members of the same alliance, and they won the tournament overall. So we had 2 winners for the Dougherty County school system. They'll be going on to represent the schools at the state later this year. So we'll congratulate them for that as well. Finally, Robert Cross has been nominated as a National Blue Ribbon School, and that's designation that's granted by awarded by the U.S. Department of Education based on academic achievement and based on closing achievement gaps between subgroups. So just to be nominated is certainly an honor, and we look forward to Robert Cross being named the Blue Ribbon School later this year when they make the final determinations. So just want to congratulate Dr. Chun and her team for doing a wonderful job there at Robert Cross Middle Magnet School, one of the best magnet schools in the state of Georgia, and in my opinion, in the country. Are there any questions or comments regarding my report, Madam Chair?
Questions or comments?
So thank you.
Thank you.
That concludes my report.
Okay. All right. Do we want to go into executive session? Is it? Okay. Okay. So since our executive session, since we don't anticipate any action coming from that, we'll move ahead into our regular board meeting. So at this time, I'm going to ask everyone to stand for a moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance. like to take a moment to welcome everyone to our regular board meeting. Thank you all for being here. At this time, Mr. Superintendent, do we have any public comments or presentations? Okay. We will move into our agenda. Do we have a motion to adopt the agenda?
I make a motion that we approve the agenda.
I second that motion, Madam Chair.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Do we have any changes to the minutes for the February 23rd, 2023 meeting? Motion to approve the minutes, if
Madam
not.
Chair, Hudley, I move that we approve the minutes of our last meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion passes. At this time, I'll entertain a motion for a consent agenda, items 2 through 6.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes. Okay. Any other additional comments or concerns? If not, I'll entertain a motion for executive session for personnel and what's it for? Litigation, yeah. And student matters. Litigation, personnel, and student matters.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, at this time, we're in executive session. Members of the audience, if you'd please gather your items and exit the room, and we'll call you back in when we finish. welcome back to our regular meeting. At this time, if there are no further questions or comments, I will entertain a motion to dismiss.
So move.
Those ladies, I don't.
Yeah, I was gonna say we want to make sure two things before we end. I want to thank Chef Travis and his team for the meal.
Yes,
and
thank
for
you
those-
very much.
Very delicious.
Now, and for those who come to the board meeting for the first time, we don't do this every meeting. It's National School. It's School Board Appreciation Week in Georgia, and so that was just a way to show our school boards some appreciation for the work that they do to support our students and our teachers. So we just had a meal, and we have enough for you. If you would like to join, I think we have some to-go plates. So feel free to join in. And we had guests who earlier we recognized them. You came in a little after them, so I want to make sure we don't miss an opportunity to recognize you. Thank you for being here. Do you want to introduce yourself, or would you rather just remain anonymous? Okay, all right. That's right.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay. Okay. Okay, good. I grew up in Harris County, back in the 70s and 80s, before Catala came to what it is now. It was still the country when I was there. So we neighbor Columbus.
There we go.
Yeah. So that's all right.
Small world.
Yep.
Oh yes, ma'am. Yes,
It
ma'am.
is, isn't it?
Yes, well, glad
Madam
y'all are
Chair.
here.
Thank you.
Madam Chairman,
Yes, sir?
please let Mr. Dye and others know that the food, as a late friend of mine, Attorney King, would say, it was very toothsome.
Glad you enjoyed it. It was very good.
Thank you.
Very good. All right.
That's it.
Okay, we
Motion
have
to
a motion
adjourn.
and a second. So all in favor? All right, we are now adjourned.